Hey everyone, it's Laura. Welcome to Mask Monday. I am doing a peel off mask today, this one by K Bella. It's a detoxifying peel off mask that has like charcoal and vitamin E to kind of help draw out impurities because I broke out a little bit like a little over a week ago. So I'm just using my fan here to dry it. And while that's drying, I was going to talk about this collab that I'm doing this week with Stephanie, whose channel is Glitzzy Gem. So hopefully you guys follow her. If you don't, I have her information in the description box and in the comments below. We've been chatting to talk about some like bad date stories. So I thought that could be kind of fun. So I was trying to think of just like one great story and I really couldn't. So I will just tell you guys about a few of the bad dates that I was on. This is obviously way before I met my husband. I've done online dating like 3 different times in my life. The first time I was in I think it was in my late 20s or early 30s. And then I tried it again in my early 40s. And that's when I met Ricky after I'd met all these other people that I'll talk about. I'm trying to think which ones I want to keep these appropriate, in case there's any kids watching along with their parents or whatever. So I'm not going to tell anything too like crazy. And most of them weren't even so much bad dates as bad just chatting back and forth before you even go on a date with somebody. There was one guy that I chatted with and everything was going okay, and this was probably about 10 years ago. And at that time I was on one of my health kicks where I had lost some weight and I had taken up jogging. And so we had chatted a little bit about that and we agreed to meet up I think we just met at Starbucks and had coffee. And I was, talking to him about jogging, and he asked where I live and if I jogged outside, and I'm always like very cautious. I don't tell anybody I don't even tell them what street I live on. I just kind of mention like maybe like what side of town I live on, that type of thing, because we live in the same city. And so I told him, and I said I generally don't jog outside in my neighborhood, but I will go to a park or something like that, and I make sure I go during the daytime. And he said, when I told him what part of town I live in, he said, well, isn't it very dark in your part of town? He was not talking about whether the sun was out, if you guys know what I'm saying. And I just stared at him like he had lost his mind. And he goes, you know what I mean by dark, don't you? I said, oh, I know exactly what you mean. And I said, oh, I have an emergency, I have to leave. And I got up and walked out. Now, my neighborhood is a very mixed race neighborhood, which is actually what I love about it. And I don't know what it is about some white people that assume that all other white people, white people that are racist, assume that other white people that are racist, or assume that all other white people are racist. You know what I'm trying to say? Like he just assumed that I would have felt the same way. He wasn't even cautious about saying it, and I had never, no topic like this had ever come up in our previous conversations. Like I said, well, I'm not racist, but I hadn't said anything to lead him to believe that I was. He just assumed, I guess, because maybe that's how everybody is that he grows up with. I was so offended that, like I said, and it was just a coffee date. So I was like, grab my Starbucks, and I was like, I gotta go. An emergency came up. And he was messaging me left and right. You misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand anything, because especially when he goes, you know what I mean, right? Like he was speaking some kind of code. And I was like, oh, you know what? Forget you, you jerk. Oh, so I ended up blocking him on the app, and this was through Match.com. And that's one nice thing about these dating websites. You don't have to give them your phone number. You can chat through their app, and then it's very easy to block people so that they can't contact you anymore. So that's what I did, but that was a bad one. Some of the other ones that were more kind of just amusing than offensive was this one guy lived in a suburb south of town, and I live on like the north end of town. I'd say about 20 miles apart. And when I told him, you know, the area where I lived, he said, oh, that's too far. Like he didn't want to, we were chatting and talking about if we wanted to go out on a date. And he said, I can't date anybody that lives that far away. 20 miles. You can't drive 20 miles if you're interested in somebody. And I was willing to, for the first date, you know, meet somewhere in the middle. But he just said, no, can't date you because you live too far away. It's 20 miles. And this isn't like 20 miles in, say, Chicago, where it takes you an hour to go 20 miles. I mean, it takes like 25 to 30 minutes to get from where I live to where he lives. He's the one that missed out on that one. So I always say I dodged a bullet is the way I look at it with that one. But he couldn't go 20. To me, that means that he probably was dating somebody else or was chatting with somebody else that he was more interested in, but couldn't find a better reason to, like, tell me no thank you. That's usually how those things go. So many people on these apps, they lie, they ghost you, where, you know, you think things are going great and then you don't hear from them ever again. They just stop communicating because, and I don't know, it's not just men, but a lot of men have a real problem with telling someone, oh, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Instead, they'd rather just not answer you at all. That's just how it goes. So one other story that I thought was kind of amusing. This one goes back to when I was in my late 20s. So this was a while ago. One of my friends had gone out with this guy a couple of times, and they weren't serious. They literally just went on a couple of casual dates, and that's all it was. And she's like, but he was a really nice guy. I don't know. I just wasn't really interested in him, because at the time she kind of was sort of interested in somebody else. And then that guy, like, she hadn't heard from him in a while and was kind of pining over this other guy. So she went out with the one that she set me up with, a couple of times. Then when the original guy got back to her, she's like, oh, great. You know, so she's like, I went out with this guy twice. It was really casual. He's nice, but, you know, the whole time she was thinking about this other guy, so she never went anywhere. So she's like, would you like to go out with him? Would you like his information? He was closer in age to me because she was a few years older than me. And I was like, sure, you know. So she gave him my information, and we talked on the phone. This is like prior to texting days. And we met up and went to a movie. And then we stood out in the lobby of the movie theater, because movies are a horrible first date. And I think most people that are watching this know that. But, you know, dinner is a much better first date, or drinks if you're into drinking, or coffee or whatever. Just somewhere where you can talk, because you can't really talk in a movie. But anyway, so we stood out in the lobby talking before we left, and he invited me on a second date, which I was like, you know, yeah, I'd like that. Well, he wanted me to come over to his house so that he could cook me dinner and watch a movie at his house. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. I'd rather meet somewhere in a public place for the second date. He's like, but I really want you to watch this particular movie with me. And I actually know what movie it is, but it's not relevant to the story. But anyway, so he said, I want you to watch this ABC movie, let's just call it that. And I want to cook XYZ meal for you. And I said, maybe on a third or fourth date. I said, I'm sorry, this isn't anything against you, but I don't know you well enough. I'm not comfortable coming to your house. I'd rather meet, you know, for a second date, I want to meet in public. He's like, okay, fine. So when I left and I got home, and I called my friend, the one I'd gone out with him, and it had been, I think it had been at least a year since she had gone out with him. And she said, how did it go? And I told her about how he wanted to cook XYZ meal and watch ABC movie with me. And she said, oh my God, guess what I did on my second date with him? I said, what? He cooked that exact meal, and they watched that exact movie. Isn't that weird? That's so weird. And I said, oh, that's so creepy. And so she said, you know, maybe you should say something to him like that you talked to me, because he knew we were friends, obviously, because that's how she, you know, we connected. And she said, maybe tell him that you're more interested in an original date, that you don't want to repeat the same date he's had with another woman. And I was like, I don't know that I feel comfortable with that, but I'll mention it. And so I did. I said something like, you know, our friend said that, you know, you saw the same movie with her and cooked her this exact same meal. And he's like, oh, I know, that's just what I like to do for a second date. And I was like, oh, okay. And then oh, I can't remember what else he said, but he said something else that, and he was too eager. He kept like begging me to come over so he could cook this meal for me and we could watch this movie. And I'm like, is he trying to roofie me or something? Like, what is his ulterior motive? What is the big deal about going out for dinner or drinks or something? So after we had been talking for a couple of weeks and he was so persistent about wanting me to come over, and I get, you know how you just know, like I got bad vibes. So finally I just told him, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. I don't want to pursue this any further, and I don't want to waste your time or my time. And by this time we weren't even at the point where we were talking on the phone anymore. We were emailing each other. So like I said, this is prior to text day, so we would email. And he replied back and said, I understand now why you're still single. F off, you be. I was perfectly nice. I just said, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm just not really interested. And because all we did was in our email was go back and forth about why he wanted to do something that I didn't want to do. And it's just like, it's obvious that we weren't compatible because we couldn't agree even on where to go or what to do for a second date. Yeah, so those are my bad date stories. I could tell some really bad ones, but I wanted to keep this like light and kind of funny. So I didn't want to tell like, yeah. So I was trying to think of like funnier bad date stories than like miserable, because I had a few kind of miserable ones, but maybe another time I'll talk about those. This is almost dry except for there's one spot right here. You guys see that? It's like rubbery right there. But I think I'm going to peel it anyway, because otherwise I'm going to be on here all evening. So watch for Glitzzy Gem's video. She's going to tell her bad date stories, and subscribe to her if you don't already. She does unboxings too, and she does makeup try-ons, which, ooh, look at this peel, guys. Or like, you know, get ready with me type of things, and she's really, really good at makeup. And she calls all of her viewers my gems. I think she says either "what's up my gems" or "hello my gems," something like that, which is so cute. Like, who doesn't want to be a gem, right? Uh-oh, look at that, got some hair. Doesn't hurt at all though. That's why I like these K Bella ones. Even right here, I still had a little bit of peach fuzz. Normally I kind of remove that before I do a peel off, and I forgot this time, and it still didn't really hurt. And I like them because they're not expensive either. So highly recommend this brand, this K Bella. I get them at Target, and they usually have them like buy 4 get 1 free or something like that. And I want to say they're about $3 a piece. So try to watch for their sales. They have a gold one that's really, really nice. That one's probably my favorite. This is my first time trying this one, but you guys can see where I broke out. And then I got a couple over here. One on the side of my nose. It was rough this month. But anyway, so this was my peel off. Hope you enjoyed my bad date stories. And like I said, please check out Glitzzy Gem. And we might be doing some more collabs in the future. So watch for those. And thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to my videos. I am at like 180 something subscribers, so should be getting to 200 pretty soon. I'll be doing a giveaway, so watch for that. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.